And debunking claims of Pakistani propaganda, India showed time-stamped images of Indian air bases that were undamaged. Right, going back to my colleague Akshay Dongre, who's been tracking these developments for us. Akshay, we were discussing about the nexus that exists between the Pakistani state and the terrorists and their, terrorist groups. We saw the pictures of Pakistani uniformed soldiers attending a funeral, a state funeral of sorts for the slain terrorists killed in those Indian strikes. What does that tell you about the linkages that exist between the Pakistani army, the ISR, and the various terrorist groups operating on Pakistani soil as we speak?
Well, Pakistan has been exposed a long time back, Ramesh, and we all have been aware of it. The entire country knows it, the world knows it, for a matter of fact, that in 2011, if Osama bin Laden, the world's most notorious terrorist, if he can be found in Abbottabad, barely some meters away from the military headquarters there, then there is no doubt that Pakistani military not only is trying to safeguard these terrorists, but also utilize them as proxies, as another weapon of mass destruction, as well as a means of blackmailing the Western economies, the Western countries, as well as trying to play victim when these kind of attacks take place. Usually there have also been charges against the Pakistani military that many a times attacks have been carried out by the Pakistani army against its own citizens and civilian areas to cry foul and to ask money from international bodies to fund the Pakistani military, and in fact the Pakistani generals' personal lavish lifestyles as well. It's a military state, it's a failed democracy, and the world, it needs to be reiterated again and again that it is a country which has not allowed even a single democratically elected government to complete its tenure since its independence, since it got partitioned from India in 1947. So clearly, the nexus between terrorists and the nexus between Pakistani government as well as the Pakistani military is well established, but new layers are opening up ever since India launched an attack on the 9 location on 7th May to eliminate terrorists who were actively planning to infiltrate more intruders who were terrorists and armed, also were radicalized to even carry out fidayeen attacks, which are suicide attacks in English. So clearly the nexus has always been there, but the most surprising thing has been that the Pakistani military, along with globally proscribed terrorists, attending the funeral of these terrorists, and in fact other people were not mentioned as far as the ground workers are concerned when they were also killed of these terror outfits, but the leaders of these terror outfits, like we are mentioning the 3 Jaish-e-Mohammed and 2 Lashkar-e-Taiba terrorists who when they were killed, the president of the country, the prime minister, the chief of the army staff, they sent flowers to the funerals of these terrorists. In fact, Asim Munir himself took up a role of a terrorist on 16th of April when he made that speech, talking on communal lines, talking of hatred, and even the Indian Ministry of External Affairs has said that there may be a linkage between the speech given by Asim Munir on 16th of April and the attack that took place in Pahalgam. So while the linkages have already been there, they are now being established for the entire world to see, and it's a shame that the International Monetary Fund still has given funds to bail out Pakistani economy. But no worries, the Indian army is well equipped. A couple of $1 billion do not mean much when India's its own defense budget is over $70 billion. So they can very well tackle the terror outfit, the terror states of Pakistan and the proxies that it is using. It's not just the Pakistan, the Indian army, but also the Central Armed Police Forces are also actively on high alert to ensure that no intrusion takes place, so that there are no internally attacks against civilians that Pakistan can orchestrate once again.
Akshay, I also want you to talk to our viewers who might be joining us from around the world that 2 of those 5 terrorists killed in Operation Sindoor, launched on the 7th of May, 2 of them were the brothers-in-law of Maulana Masood Azhar, who is the mastermind of the 2001 attack on India's parliament. Now, this is a globally wanted terrorist, and the two people killed were the brothers-in-law of this very person, the terrorist Masood Azhar, who was involved, who masterminded the 2001 attack on India's parliament here in New Delhi.
Well, Masood Azhar has been in a hideout, on and off inside Pakistan when there is a world pressure, when Pakistan wants to come out of the FATF grey list, that is a watchdog for terror funding and money laundering. It puts Masood Azhar behind bars, or it tries to put some restrictions on the movement and assembly of Masood Azhar. But then again, once the world attention turns away from Pakistan, they bring back, give a red carpet to Masood Azhar because the tactics of the Pakistani military and the tactics of these terrorists that are being nurtured by Pakistan is almost the same. They operate in similar fashion. They operate in similar manner, trying to attack civilians instead of going head on, tackling the armed forces of India. They are afraid, absolutely they are afraid, and they have been using these cowardice tactics for several decades now, and in fact, in a way, they have achieved a mastery in deception and terror attacks against civilians and innocent people. So Masood Azhar is a globally proscribed terrorist. He, as you rightly mentioned, he is the mastermind behind the attack against Indian Parliament, and his relatives being killed, who were also terrorists and were actively engaged in not only anti-India activity, but also they have been trying to attack civilian population inside Pakistan, trying to implicate India there. So these kind of politics and politics between the civilian government as well as the military of Pakistan have been playing out for decades now. Ever since the formation of Pakistan, there have been power struggles, but Pakistani military has gotten an edge because they are arming these terrorists, and they are using these terrorists to also threaten the civilian governments of Pakistan. You have seen what has happened to Imran Khan, who tried to take an action or tried to take a stand against the Pakistani military. He remains in jail. His supporters were also jailed. So it's a dictatorship of the military that is aided by terror outfits and terrorists across the world.
Indeed. So as my colleague Akshay is reporting there, India killing 5 terrorists as part of Operation Sindhu that was launched on the 7th of May. And 2 of those 5 terrorists killed belong to the Jaish-e-Mohammed terror group. And they were 2 of them were brothers-in-law of Maulana Masood Azhar, who masterminded the 2001 terror attack on India's parliament. We leave it at that, Akshay. Thank you. Akshay Dongre reporting there on the latest developments that we are tracking here on DD India News Hour.